Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason. I'm here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brandon, Texas, which is where I record these things. I also have a shop here, which is why it's called New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki. It's not just a name of a podcast or something like that. You can come buy crystals and incense, and you can sign up for services of the metaphysical nature here. And let's jump right into the report. We start with the sun because the sun is the closest star and the star that is closest to us, our sun, has been active this past week. Active in a lot of minor flares, not a whole lot of CMEs that have been coming our way, right? And so flaring is going to cause that sense of anxiety, right? It's almost, think of it as a flash in a pan or a spark when that happens. And so that's just a little bit of jolt to the system. Um, if you have cardiac issues, sometimes that can sort of make you feel those symptoms higher, whether that's higher blood pressure or an arrhythmia or something like that, because of the electromagnetic nature of that. But they've been minor, and there haven't been a whole lot of CMEs, so therefore there hasn't been a whole lot of geo electric storms from those impacts. However, um, there's always a however in the stars, or maybe it's an also and an and. But the coronal hole was turning towards Earth a couple days ago, and so we should have, or you might have felt an increased pressure, right? So the coronal holes are the dark spots on the sun, not the sunspots, but the large sort of things that sort of see into the inner sun, and that sort of creates a compression. So you might have felt heavy over the last couple days. And when that coronal hole faces towards us, we start to feel that pressure. But then when the stream hits, it's almost like an impact. And so that likes to trigger off earthquakes. It also can affect mood. So pay attention to that. The coronal hole is kind of large and misshapen. So that should last probably it's going to impact probably tonight or early this morning. Early, I guess that'd be tomorrow morning. And so we look for it to happen then, or to see a shift in the energy, right? You're not going to see flashes in the sky, but sort of pay attention. If you're wondering what's going on, just sort of monitor your energy late this afternoon into this evening and sort of see if you can tell there's a shift. If not, it's still something subtle that's going to be happening, but maybe it doesn't affect you, and that's a good thing. The more things you can cross off your list that you don't have to worry about, the easier it is to focus on the things that are going to be the most effective to make your life better, which brings us to Wednesday. Today, it is December the 13th, and we're going to go to December the 19th with this report. And today, we're still on the tail end of the new moon. The new moon was in Sagittarius, right? So it's matching the solar sign. That's what moons do when they're dark. And so the new moon is really about new beginnings. It's not necessarily as cleansing as a full moon is. A lot of times that extracts energy out and sort of helps us cleanse our crystals and all kinds of stuff like that. But the new moon is really we're alone in a dark room. We can decide for ourselves. There's no eyes on us. And so therefore we can be our true selves. And so that's the nature of the new moon. New moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is coinciding with Aries in the higher mind, but also physically, alchemically, sort of mirrors or goes along with the hips and the thighs and the formation of blood cells. So while you're in that new moon energy and you're in your own thoughts, you can sort of use the higher mind will send the new beginnings to all the cells as it sort of creates these new cells with this new energy that's happening today, Wednesday. Today, Wednesday, also is Mercury retrograde. Um, look for all the cheesy or not cheesy, I guess challenging or dismissive memes about Mercury and Gatorade and people making fun of energy not doing anything or planetary alignment not meaning as much as people that watch these reports give it. But they're wrong. So, yeah, Mercury goes retrograde today and is going to be in retrograde till January 4th. Probably the reason for the a lot today. Um, there I go. I'm in again. And so when we sort of move into January, or all the way through January 4th, that communication stuff is going to transfer. January 4th is after Christmas and after New Year's, so we're going to be having that inward focus on communicating not necessarily your deepest darkest secrets, but your core truest self, right? So just because it's in your shadow and hidden doesn't mean it has to be bad, or even something that's neglected, or even something that has to be worked on, right? It just maybe it's something that has to be revealed. And so Mercury retrograde um affects communication and transportation in general. Right. So you want to sort of see the mixing of Mercury retrograde with solar flaring and sun solar weather, because those things combined together will really start to affect, usually stuff like internet slowdowns, localized cell phone outages, and stuff like that. Mercury's going to join the other three planets that are in retrograde, which is Chiron, Uranus, and Jupiter. And so, Mercury is really about finding communication and long-term solutions to things, right? So once you sort of get the right words, it's kind of like you can't do anything about the problem if you can't identify it or name it. So Mercury is going to help a lot with that while it's in retrograde. Chiron, we know, is about releasing old patterns, right? So if we identify an old pattern with this Mercury retrograde, then it's easier to release. We got Uranus, which is about independence and sort of learning to trust your abilities and not necessarily the rules, right? So it's not necessarily about the structure from which you form things. Is this close enough to hear me? Can y'all even hear me? It's close enough. I just totally lost my mind off that because my microphone seems so far away. Thanks, Mercury retrograde. I'm going to blame everything on that, right? That's what we're supposed to do, or that's what they say we do. Blame everything on Mercury retrograde and don't take responsibility. Anyway, Uranus is about being independent and trusting your abilities, not structure. There we go. That's where I was at. Um, and even sort of exploring new lifestyle options, right? So lifestyle options is where you live, where you work, who you hang out with, hobbies that you sort of take up or put down. Maybe you've been doing something just because it was somebody else's hobby and you're done with that. So think about that. Moving or continuing starting Wednesday into Thursday. We're on the next day. The Geminids meteor shower is peaking. I guess you could probably still see it now, but it's peaking tonight and tomorrow night. You should find the Geminids in the sign Gemini. So I believe if you're in North America, you should look to the northeast and look for the big bright star Castor. And once you see the star Castor, they should sort of be there. Um, it's probably for people that stay up a little bit late, so it should be most visible from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And that's also sort of coinciding with the energy of the moon still. The moon is North Node is in Aries, right? And so we sort of said Aries and Sagittarius have that combination of alchemically affecting the higher mind, right? The golden fleece, the golden ram, that idea that there is some kind of understanding or connection to divine knowledge that we can grasp here. And so that North Node of the moon in Aries is going to sort of be undergirding that. And when we're having meteor showers are like these little that little these little sparks of epiphanies, information, of awakenings. And so when we have those peaks and everything sort of coinciding together, look for that to be, I won't call it magical, but if you're doing the work, it could be very synchronistic and it can almost feel like things all fall into place. So maybe if you're not a late stayer upper, you want to try that on Wednesday and Thursday. Excuse me. And then Friday's really a time to sort of use these new planetary combos, right? Because Mercury retrograde, sometimes you got to give it a day or two to see how it's going to affect you. Wow, it's a lot of smoke coming through the screen. And sort of feel out and act on it. Motivation is really the act of doing stuff when you don't want to, right? It's not waiting to be motivated. It's not waiting for these planets to do something for you. It's starting to do the action and allowing the planetary energies to assist you. And so don't necessarily be overly concerned with hitting every, like, like if you're sitting there with a checklist, or if you are taking notes on the star report, don't really be concerned about how you interact with every little detail, right? Pick out the ones that are sort of good for you, and sort of some to sort of keep that in your mind. It's really, you can be more profitable. There's really a determination that the wealth is of selection, not of accumulation, right? So it's not that all of these things happen, or you notice all of these things, or all of these things that you've maximized their use. It's that you've selected certain things, and that they are working for you, right? So it's not having all the things, it's having the correct things, and maybe even the finer things, right? So if there's something that's speaking to you, use Friday and Saturday for that. And then Sunday, Sunday. I don't watch football anymore. Oh well. Um, Sunday, the moon is closest to us all month. Um, Making communicating your inner world easier. Right. So just had a new moon. The moon's coming closer. We're in Mercury retrograde. The North Node is in Aries, right? So, this idea that you have a higher self that is somewhere out there to be obtained, and downloading it into the self, sometimes maybe it's just an inward discovery. And this moon becoming closer, or the closest it is all month, with the combo of the planetary alignments, is really about, hey, I'm not going to take all the negative BS that's happening. I'm going to take the positive BS and go, hey, look at this shit. I'm awesome on the inside. And so when that communication becomes easier of your inner self, right? And it's not that it's easier to say the words, or it's easy to get anybody to understand. Don't expect anybody like, oh shit, I never knew. But really it's that the veil is thinnest, right? So you yourself can see your inner core to communicate it, not that it's, hey, everybody, here's some deep, dark understandings that I have about the universe based on mathematics and astrology and yada, yada, yada. That's not the kind of epiphanies that I'm talking about on Sunday. Um, Leads us into Monday, Tuesday. Just sort of use Mercury retrograde into the beginning of next week to sort of speak um, congruently, right? So all of these discoveries that you're making about yourself, don't learn all that stuff over the weekend and then step right back into Monday, Tuesday into the same dismissive, um, tertiary BS. Like, oh, like I've had all these profound things, but I'm going to go act like I'm not profound and do something mundane, or in a mundane way on Monday, Tuesday. Sort of try to maintain that congruency, that I won't call it integrity, because you're not bad if you do it. It's just the way the world works. But that sort of matchy, that, hey, I made all these discoveries and I'm going to start to live differently. Don't just immediately put them down like you've had a spiritual experience on the weekend, but you're still going to go through your regular week. I think that's the end of the week that I talk about. That's Tuesday. Um, One of the things I want you to remember is really, you don't have to remember it all. And in the quote is, the wealth of selection, not accumulation. It is really the sort of key to using Mercury retrograde, right? It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing a few things well, and then having those few things that you've done well really create an environment of refinement and of spiritual depth, that give you the ability to sort of maneuver the other minutia as it comes, rather than having all of the little details. So you don't need all 13,000 crystals on one little shelf. Maybe you have a couple of fine crystals that really sort of set the tone, and are really fine pieces to look at, to explore, that generate good energy. Think about stuff like that. I think I'm going to be done, but I'm in a circle of communication because Mercury retrograde is messing with me. I'm here at the shop. The holiday hours are going to be a little different. So probably starting the Saturday before Christmas. When is the Saturday before Christmas? Maybe, yeah, starting the Saturday, Christmas Eve. I'll be closed Christmas Eve, and then till after New Year's. So if you're going to make it by the shop, if you're in the area, make it by the shop before then. And then I should be back. If you need to help integrate any of this energy, maybe you want to talk about integration or the wealth of selection, not accumulation. Come in the shop and talk about that. You can book online if it's available, then I'm available. If for whatever reason I've done a calendaring snafu and can't be here, I will decline the appointment. But yeah, you can do that in dimensionscrystals.com. Of course, keep breathing. Breathing is going to be your easiest way to move through this energy. Meditation is going to be your second best way. If you're not eating correctly or you've managed to mess up your diet through the holiday season, try to get that back on track. And at the very least, drink some extra water. Till next time, everybody, many blessings.